Minister. Sources say the announcement has been timed to coincide with the need to make appointments to the Privy Council. Our political correspondent Sally Phelps says questions are being asked of the government.
The timing of this has raised a few eyebrows. It's come out on an evening, on an Easter weekend. People less likely to be paying attention when they're out enjoying their Easter holidays and their chocolate. In terms of the reaction, so Labour have been critical of this set of appointments. What they say is this is an act of entitlement or an act of somebody who doesn't perhaps expect to be in office much longer, whereas the Liberal Democrats are saying that this is a sign the Prime Minister is out of touch.
A Labour MP is calling for the police to investigate after BBC News revealed a secret report showing the Post Office fought sub-postmasters in court, despite knowing its case was based on false information. The document from 2017 showed branch losses could be caused by the Horizon IT system. Kevin Jones, who's part of the Horizon Compensation Advisory Board, said the Post Office should have just come forward with the truth. The company has said it is deeply sorry and the public inquiry would look at issues raised. Ukraine has said it has been attacked overnight by 99 Russian drones and missiles. The barrage targeted 10 regions, damaging 3 power stations. The Foreign Ministry in Israel has insisted it's promoting new initiatives to get aid into Gaza. The country was responding to a ruling by the International Court of Justice in The Hague, ordering it to allow more food, water, fuel and shelters into the territory. South Korea's ambassador to Australia has resigned just weeks into the job because of growing criticism of his appointment. Lee Jong-suk was given the post despite being told by investigators not to leave South Korea. He's been accused of meddling in an investigation about a Marine who drowned. BBC News.
This is BBC Radio 4, where it's Good Friday and we've no end of Easter treats today, including this afternoon a reflection on trees and their connection to our human emotions. Bishop Helen Ann Hartley presents our Good Friday meditation at 3 o'clock. But to palm trees first, it's time for Desert Island Discs with Lauren Laverne.
Finding a consensus of how
My castaway this week is Professor Alice Roberts. She's one of the most popular science communicators in Britain today. Her BBC programme, Digging for Britain, attracts millions of viewers, and she has 11 series under her archaeological tool belt. In her role as Professor of Public Engagement in Science at Birmingham University, she views sharing science with everyone as her moral responsibility. Her work as a scientist and writer brings together established and emerging disciplines, from anatomy, archaeology and anthropology to paleopathology, the study of ancient diseases, and archaeogenomics, the fusion of archaeology and genetics. She uses her discoveries to shine a light on our collective past, offering new answers to questions including whether humans and Neanderthals interbred, that would be a yes, to when plague arrived in Europe, that would be a lot earlier than we'd imagined. As for her own story, she trained as a doctor before her obsession with bones took her into academia and then into television as a specialist on Time Team. She says, ultimately, I'm interested in how science and technology can be used with a strong dose of wisdom to make the world a better place. Professor Alice Roberts, welcome to Desert Island Discs.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to being cast away on this island.
Oh, honestly, you need the break, having done all that. So Alice, you're in a very interesting position as a scientist who studies history. You're kind of looking to the future and the deep past at the same time and bringing together new technology with ancient knowledge. I wonder what your favourite thing about working in that way is.
I think it is the meeting of different disciplines, and it is really putting me out of a job because my actual area of expertise is looking at the bones and diagnosing ancient diseases from what I can see in human remains, sometimes using radiographs to help me do that. But very often I'll be looking at a bone and I'll say, I can see that this bone was infected. I can see that there's a plaque of new bone on the surface where the bone cells have been reacting to inflammation, but I don't know what that infection is. And so I would just write a non-specific infection. And then my archaeogeneticist friends come along, take a little scraping of it, go away and tell me precisely what the bacterium is. that has caused that infection. It's just incredible.
Alice, you are such a lover of bones that you even have a favourite one, and it is the clavicle, the collarbone. Why is it your favourite?
It is a beautiful bit of human anatomy, I think. And then it's got this incredible backstory because it ossifies, so it turns to bone in a really weird way. Most of the bones in our body ossify by forming little cartilage models first, which then turn into bone. So the little cartilage models are forming when you're in utero. The clavicle does this weird thing where it just ossifies out of embryonic tissue. It doesn't have a cartilage model first. And this is a clue that the clavicle was once part of the skull, but you have to go back a very, very long time in evolutionary history before you find it back in the skull, and it's in your great to the power ex-grandmother, probably about 500 million years ago. It's because it was where the front fins, the pectoral fins, attach to the base of the skull. So our limbs, our arms, are evolved from fish's fins, and they've dropped away from the skull, and in doing that, they've pulled away this bone.
And it's just been left behind.
It's been left behind, yeah.
I mean, for a bone that has been, captured in photographs and portraiture for centuries as one of the most erotic, you wouldn't kind of think fish's skull. It's not the backstory I was expecting.
No, but I love these stories. I mean, I love that depth of evolutionary history within the body. It's just brilliant.
It's time for your first music choice today, Alice. What's it going to be?
My first choice is the Pixies, and it's Monkey Gone to Heaven. And I remember hearing this for the first time on a jukebox in a pub at the bottom of Park Street in Bristol with my friend Catherine, and I was blown away. It reached inside me and grabbed me by the heart and filled me with this incredible passion for music.
More worrying about religion or heterodominant culture, why wouldn't you want to treat all people as equally and as fairly as you could? Peaches Geldof changed my mind on gay marriage. I'd like to think she made me a better person as well, but I never got a chance to say thank you to her because she passed away, I think it was 8 days after the first gay marriage took place. Tragic, absolutely tragic. So I wonder whether any of you, dear listener, have been on a similar journey. Did you have a problem with gay marriage? What was your problem, and have you changed your mind? Maybe you never changed your mind. Maybe you've always been in favour or always rejected the idea. But best of all, I think it would be also very lovely to hear from any same-sex couples who did get married 10 years ago today. Gay friends of mine, probably the best wedding I ever went to was a gay wedding, Daniel and Amy.
Can I just say, it still raises the hackles when people say David Cameron proposed it, because it was me, not him.
Yes.
And I know he's a great supporter now. I couldn't have done it without him. Obviously, he was the Prime Minister, but nevertheless.
Perhaps you can help me out here, because I was genuinely, I can still remember the moment it happened. I think I was in the office, and I was flabbergasted, because it just seemed such a progressive idea.
Yes.
That the Tories were under no burden, perhaps, to introduce, except because they're in partnership with you guys.
Well, exactly. And one of my calculations, I started this 3 days into being in the Home Office. I was a Home Office Minister and Equalities Minister. And we had advice from Michael Heseltine and Andrew Adonis, because Lib Dem ministers, we didn't have any predecessors, so we didn't kind of know what we were doing. And the Institute for Government called us in, and Michael Heseltine said, focus ruthlessly on one or two things that you want to get done while you're in the spotlight.